Angels and Awakening is all new today. I'm Julie Jancis. All February 2026, I'm sharing my Rewrite Your Story course here as a gift for you. Each episode stands alone, so start anywhere. Or listen and order all February for the full course free. This course used to cost $333. I'm taking it down after February, so listen while it's here. If you'd like to support my work, book a reading with me or join my next in-person Angel Reiki School certification, April 10th, 11th, 12th. VIP enrollment by March 1st includes 12 months of mentorship, a full year of support as you expand. Register at theangelmedium.com or email julie@theangelmedium.com with questions. Now, let your angels guide you throughout today's episode. All right, friends, we are in week 4 of Rewrite Your Story, a course here that I'm teaching. Self limiting belief number 21. It says, my family and friends told me I can't. What if they're right? The people in our families and chosen families are valuable to us in a way that we sometimes aren't even aware of, right? We may not always think we care deeply as we do until some deep desire arises within us that our friends and family discourage us in. This can cause us to delay and even deny our dreams, hopes, and desires altogether and makes us doubt ourselves. We limit ourselves when we think my family friends told me I can't. What if they're right? This thought limits us because it doesn't acknowledge that many times what people tell others they can or can't do is a true reflection of what they believe they can or cannot do. That's really important. Let me read that again. When we limit ourselves when we think, my family friends told me I can't. So what if they're right? This thought limits us because it does not acknowledge that many times what people tell others they can and cannot do is more so a true reflection of what that person themselves believes they can or cannot do. So, friends, even with good intentions, the people who love us can impose their life experiences on us, limiting our belief in ourselves and our ability to rely on the support we have in God, in spirit, and the universe. On the other hand, some people we love who may not want to see, on the other hand, times we love people who may not want us to, sorry. Sometimes we love people who may not want to see us succeed because they fear feeling inferior, because they believed someone who told them that they couldn't do it a long time ago. It can become a cycle of fear and discouragement. But, friend, you are capable. Yes, you are. You are capable of breaking that cycle. Spirit says you are worth betting on yourself and believing that you are meant to do it and that you have all you need through God to do what it is that you need to do here on earth and what you feel called to do. So I'm going to have you kind of think about this one today and fill out the sheet on your own because I want you to get used to doing that and to be able to. But I want to just kind of reflect on a couple of things here. Had a session with a woman the other day who was talking about this concept and this self limiting belief. And I see this a lot, but she said it in a way that I really hadn't seen before. And what she said was, her parents were so scared of lack, of lack, of lack that her entire life they taught her to just play things safe. And she said, I'm so sick of playing things safe. She said, I work in corporate America, but I know I want to start my own business. And I know that this is exactly what it would be. And I daydream about it. But at the same time, I have this fear of starting my own business because my parents just drilled this be safe, don't take risks, be safe, don't daydream, just stay on the right track into my head. And I completely and totally get that. How many of you, please raise your hand if this is you, How many of you, when you're facing a big life decision, you call other people before checking in with yourself to see how you feel about what it is that you want? Spirit says this a lot in sessions. It's not bad to get advice from other people who may have experienced the same thing before. However, if you're going to be going to other people and asking for their opinions before you've gone inward and asked yourself, how do I really feel about this? What do I really want in this situation? Then what's going to happen is by you getting different opinions by one, two, three, four, five outside people, now you have all of this more chatter within your head. Okay. I want you to see this because it's very important. So, if you would have at the beginning just paused in your life and say, okay, I'm at a crossroads. I need to make this important decision. Let me go within. As you go within, you're going within at a clean slate, right? There is no monkey mind from all of these other friends and family around you, okay? But when you don't, and you go to those people first, now you have all of their subconscious minds, all of their egoic minds, all of their fears, all of their experiences that are going to play into your decision. And it's going to be much, much harder for you to figure out what it is that you really want because now you're going to have to sort through, well, this came from dad's fear over here, and this came from mom's fear over here, and this came through from brother's fear over here. How is it that you ever sort through all of that and figure out what it is that you really want and you really desire? It's hard. So I'm not saying to not ask for outside opinions, but what I am saying is to be cognizant and rewrite your story where you say, any decision or any crossroads I come to, I go within first and I ask myself, what is it that I want? What is it that I need? And after I've gotten very, very clear on what it is that I want or what I need, then I will go and get other input. However, if it takes me a day, a week, a month, 6 months to figure out what I need, what I want, I'm going to give myself that space first to figure that out within me. And then after that, I will go get those outside opinions. Okay. So I wanted you to see that. I also want you to hear it from my perspective, right? Because I used to be like a chronic opinion asker. And my MO was like, okay, I would call, either my mom or my aunt, and if they didn't pick up, I would call the other one, and then if they didn't pick up, I would call my BFF, Sarah, and if she didn't answer, then I would call my sister, and if she didn't answer, then I would call my grandma, and it was like, I would talk to all of those 5 people, and then sometimes more. This was way back when, this is, like, pre-2015, to get to what it was that to get direction on just every little thing in my life. And when I went through, what I talk about in the podcast and in the book, having suicidal ideation and going into the hospital for it and getting help for it, I remember being in outpatient therapy. So if you've never heard of this, a lot of times you'll go for an in stay in the hospital, and maybe you're in the hospital for 3 nights, 5 nights, 7 nights, whatever, and when you're in there, you can't really talk to anybody on the phone, like, you're in intensive therapy all day long or, like, quiet time, and then you can do, like, an outpatient. It's not bad, whatsoever. I had the best experience. Then you can do an outpatient stay. So I did a 30-day, like, outpatient stay where I was in intensive therapy with groups, individually. large groups, small groups, all day long, therapy all day long from like 9 a.m. until 3, 4, or 5 p.m. or something like that. And I remember having a breakthrough one day in one of those therapy sessions, outpatient. I mean, like, I know what I'm gonna do. Like, I have to start my own business. It's never been more clear. I know exactly what I want. I'm gonna start my own business. And at the time, I still didn't know what life coaching or like what energy healing was. I thought I was gonna go into life coaching because I kept seeing that and like working one on one with people. And I thought that that's what it was. So I went into my car, like, on the lunch break, and I called all of those people, like, one right after another, and I was like, "This is what I'm gonna do. What do you think about it? This is what I'm gonna do. What do you think about it?" And I'll never forget it. One person after another. Not all the people that I mentioned before, because I had called my life coach at the time and some different folks, but one person after another said, "Oh, Julie, I don't I don't know. This seems so wrong to me. You've got this amazing job where you're making, big bucks over there. You've worked your way up to this career and you have a team of people that you're leading now and people would really kill for your position. And not only that, but you're on a trajectory to be the head of your department one day or like the president, of a nonprofit, and, they were like, "Ah, I wouldn't trade that in, for this dream because you don't know where that's gonna go," right? Which looking back at it from this perspective, hindsight is 2020, seems a little laughable, right? But at the time, oh, it hurt. It hurt so bad, and I gotta say, I considered not starting anything because of their words and how much those words and their opinion mattered to me. And I do think kind of maybe it halted my growth just a little bit because I can see now where I kind of stunted getting and taking action after that for a couple of months. But if I had listened to that, like you and I wouldn't be sitting here today. And again, I said this before in another video, but I'm going to say it again. I didn't do anything totally outside my comfort zone. I took small steps outside of my comfort zone where I did have a part-time job, 20 hours a week, so that I could build my business in the other 20 hours a week. And I did that for a couple of years just because I felt this anxiety about just like releasing the steadiness of that part-time income. So spirit didn't do anything where it was like totally forcing me into a position that I shouldn't have been in financially or pushing me radically outside of my comfort zone. What I want you to see here, though, is how much other people's words impact the direction and the action within our life. And I need you to rewrite your story this week. And only you can do this one, right? Take out the worksheet, do this one for yourself. But I want you to look at self limiting belief number 21. And I want you to go through the worksheet and I want you to look at the prompts underneath it and just really consider rewriting the story so that first and foremost, you trust what it is that you want for your life. And you go in and you consult yourself first and foremost on everything within your life. And then you go outside of yourself. What's it it is? Like what that you want. You've got that down. Whether that takes a little bit of time to come in, you got to give yourself that patience for that yourself to be really concrete on what it is that you want. Then you can go to other people and ask their opinion, but do you really want to? Because one of the rules that I made for myself and the way that I rewrote my story, literally on that day that I made all of those phone calls sitting in the parking lot of intensive therapy, was I don't need anybody else's opinion except for God's and my own. What is it that God wants for me? What is it that my higher self wants for me? What am I feeling called to? What are the nuggets of information that are coming to me? That's my compass, not this outside crew who does love me very much, but they don't hear my intuition for me. Only I hear that, and only I can be the keeper of that. So I think that's one of the best stories that I ever rewrote for myself because it changed the trajectory of my entire life. And so I wanted to present that to you here now that you know how to rewrite stories for yourself, uh, so that you can bring this great gift into your life as well of just trusting God, trusting yourself first and foremost. You don't need the peanut gallery uh, giving you opinions. In fact, there are some people now that's one of my like unwritten boundary rules with them is that I don't ask for their opinion. I don't want their opinion. And if they give it, sometimes I'll even politely stop them and say, we don't need to go there. I know exactly what to do, but thank you very much. And so that's it. That is it. Read the affirmation for that day. Read, let's see, all of the rest of the stories in the workbook before the end of the month and just marinate on those prompts or kind of do some worksheets. Take the course at your own pace. There is no feeling overwhelmed here. It's just about you taking the nuggets of information that really call to you and allowing them to be applied and implemented within your life. Friends, I love you so incredibly much. I hope that you have enjoyed this course. There's also a live video replay that you can watch, or if you're going through this live, you can hop on that with us in the fourth week. I love you. They love you. Open up your heart to all of the unexpected blessings that they're trying to bring into your life. And friends, let God help you rewrite your stories this week. Okay?
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
Good. You hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So in the last live, I had talked about the exercise I did. I had written 4 negative statements, and I emailed you the typed out version of it. But my last statement, I didn't have an answer for at the time. It was, I'm trying to remember exactly how I worded it, but it was that, I might do all of this work. I might learn everything I need to learn, but then I won't follow through because I never follow through. And I didn't have an answer for that negative um, thought. And so the more work I did on it, I found the answer was already coming in at it was this word consistency. And the word had been coming in for like a month. I would just do when I would meditate or when I would journal, this word consistency kept popping up. And then I realized that that was my answer. And when I went deeper into it, I found out that that's a skill that I have to work on, but I have to start small with developing consistency because it doesn't come naturally. And that I'll have help with it from the angels, from God. I'll have help with it, but I have to do that work. And if I focus, the more I focus on, okay, I'm working on consistency, then the follow through kind of happens like on its own. So that was another answer that I got to that negative thought. And then also I hadn't in the last live I talked about how we lost the family business. I don't know if you remember. But one thing I didn't talk about was the money part of that because I had been getting messages to my intuition that I'm not supposed to be worrying about money right now in this time in my life. And I keep getting that message over and over because when we when we had that big change, my husband and I both lost our jobs. We both worked on the farm, and my husband he's a really, really hard worker. He's really good with business. He's really good with wheeling and dealing, and he's a really, really good mechanic. He can listen to a piece of equipment and just know what's wrong with it and know how to fix it. And but what's unique about him and what's unique about our relationship is that my husband is in a wheelchair, and he always has been since I met him. He has a genetic he has a genetic disease that has his bones weak, and it's called hypophosphatemic rickets. If anybody knows what that is. But so, and I was more at the dairy. I was more of a in the office, and then I would be like a fill-in. So I would really, feed the cows, milk the cows if I needed to. But if everything was done outside, then I would be in the office paying bills, doing invoices, things like that. Our jobs worked really well together because we lived there. We lived on the farm. He had his, you know, job that kept him busy all the time, and I had mine, and it was steady money, that steady paycheck. So when that all shut down, we couldn't just go get new jobs because of the way our relationship worked was I'm he works really hard. He's as independent as he can be, but he needs me there for his physical he caretaker. You know, I we never talk about it really, but I never call myself his caretaker, but I am. And so a job apart from each other isn't just something that we can go do. Right. So when we started a business of our own, when when the dairy shut down, we started a business of our own, which we were already kind of working at, but that money fear is without the steady paycheck is there daily, absolutely daily. So when I turned on the week 3 teaching and it was about money, I was so happy and grateful that it was being brought up because I keep getting told not to worry about money, but this was more of a way to try and work through those fears.
Yeah.
But I struggle with the money fear every single day, even though I get the same messages over and over that I'm not supposed to worry about that. Um,
So let's talk about this a little bit because I know exactly what you mean. And I think that if you talk to everybody in this group, they'd say the same thing. What I have found over the last 6 months is that there are a huge number of people in this angel membership who know that they're healers here on earth, who want to be doing this work in some way, shape, or form. And I'd love to see people talking about that more too over in the Thinkific community where everybody can kind of post because I think that you have something really special here that we're not totally utilizing. I want to, though, talk specifically to what you're talking about, Tiffany, because those fears were some of the biggest fears that I had for so long. And that's what I try and talk about a little bit in the podcast in the past is that when I was working for the college, I really allowed my egoic mind to come in and to tell me this story. And that story that I was telling myself back then was you've worked, right? Like you've gone to school for a certain degree and you've worked for so long in your career to get to this point where you're managing people and you're at this salary and you're at this title and you have these certain skills and and you can't just change tracks and have new skills and like jump into a new position at this income. And that story and the fear of not being able to contribute because my husband is a teacher, I have to contribute to the bills each month. Um, yeah, it really held me back for a very long time from stepping out because if I'm honest with myself and all of you, I knew that I wanted to step away from that position before my dad passed. It wasn't just his passing that made me step away. I had been hearing this and being pushed on this for years before, right? But I felt like it was too hard and I was gonna like slide back down the scale and be starting all over again. And in some ways I was, but what really hit the nail on the head with is that word consistency. And I really feel like that comes back to that visual that I was trying to show at the beginning, where it doesn't feel good. Like we have created these thinking pathways within our heads since we were 14 years old, right? So I'm gonna be 39. How old is that? Let's say 15 to 25, 25 to 35, like 25 years I've been thinking the same way. And it feels comfortable to stay here in your old story. So to break the story not only requires consistency of like, nope, we're going to break it because your consistency is actually your body and your mind wants to go back to the old way of doing things. It wants to go back to the old story because the new story is not comfortable yet. But the consistency is we're gonna break this story and we're gonna break this cycle over again and over again and over again. And the other part that like, ooh, I just like lit up when you said it was, and my angels are gonna help me. And that's 100% what this is that they're stepping in and they're gonna show you every step of the way. Uh I wanna say, like, when it comes to finances, I wanna kind of take what you said because I hear that all the time from my angels too, like, "Don't worry about money, don't worry about money, don't wor," like, we're always gonna provide. What is that like in the Bible? There's something like if God provides for that little bird outside your window and that little bird is always taken care of, God's gonna provide for you, and I think that that's so true. At the same time, I feel like prefacing in a very legal world that that doesn't mean taking these, like, huge, like, crazy astronomical risks, right? Like, I've kind of inched my way, like, taking tiny risks that I felt comfortable with along the way. But you're absolutely right. Like, you are gonna be provided for, and I know that you're not taking those huge, crazy risks. Um I want to encourage you to keep going on this. And if anybody feels called, I want to see if anybody feels called to be a consistency buddy with Tiffany. And you guys can hop into the chat below because I feel like somebody's really feeling drawn to connect with Tiffany on this and be consistency and accountability partners on this. So, Tiffany, if you want to connect with that person in the chat, or maybe it's like a small group that comes together, I think that would be really fun too. But thank you for being here, and you're so on the right track. And I'm sending you all my love. Okay, Tiff?
Thank you
You
so
too.
much.
Yay. Okay, Liz was next.
Hi, Julie.
Hey, Liz.
So I feel like some of the harder ones I have questions about because they're hard to let go after a lifetime
Yeah.
of comfort. But
Yes.
one that I've been working on before this, and I feel like this has really helped me with some breakthroughs this month, and I maybe need to go easy on myself as well because it's also a really hard one, is that I have the limiting belief of needing to be perfect and that I
Mm.
cannot make mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's one that I've been really hard on myself and driven myself to pretty deep and difficult anxiety over a number of years that, 2 years after starting to learn more about that, I feel a lot better. But rewriting my story was really helpful in that, to try to just step back and, as you've coached us, see it not from the point of view in my head, but from God's eye. And I think the biggest aha for me through this process and what came through when I asked for guidance from God and my spirit team is just how important it is to allow myself to learn, that to expect myself to be really good at something, especially something new, the first time I try it, is of the ego and doesn't really make sense if I really look at it and think about it. But my want to do everything really well and perfect has caused me to feel like I should be. And instead, to flip it around and see that I'm here to learn, I'm here to be curious and try new things without fear of doing them wrong because I will enjoy the journey all the more.
Oh,
It's
so
pretty
true.
powerful statement that is not my words.
I feel like there's some things that I just want to say sometimes, and I'm trying to find a way to. Liz, are you still there? I think you lowered your hand and I can't see you, but
Yes, I'm still here. Sorry.
oh no, that's okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna say it this way. I'm just gonna call it Duck a Duck. I got a I follow some people's blast emails, like the emails that they send out to everybody. Some like big, small, like just the healers that resonate with me. Like I want to see what they're sending out. And every single time that I say something, even remotely like a little negative, it always comes back to bite me in the ass. So this probably will too, but I'm just gonna say it. Okay. So this person's email the other day, and this is like huge healer, came out and said, I never get worked up. I never get worked up. Over the last 25 years, I never get worked up. And you know why? Because I meditate every single day for at least a little. And I go, bull fucking shit. If you've been asking your angels who you're becoming next, join my Who Am I Supposed to Be Now masterclass Friday, February 27th on Zoom or at my home in Wheaton. Get a roadmap and real confidence in the AI era. It's an angel experience with concrete steps. Sign up in the show notes below. Because I read all of your books and you did get worked up here, 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 and here. Like, why are we still, and this is in every industry, right? We're still coming out with different ways that we need to be perfect. And I think our generation dealt with a huge brunt of it because media was so big when we were younger and the imagery that was just flying at us, and there wasn't that many just different media outlets. Like, I kind of think to myself sometimes, the kids that are growing up right now, are they going to look back and was like, everybody watched The Wonder Years, everybody watched Saved by the Bell, everybody watched Family Ties, and what was that other one? Full House, right? They watch these YouTube channels and they have some shows on TV, but what are they going to look back at and say, like, as a collective, they all saw? We have just this tremendous brunt that we have bared as a collective of perfection being placed on us. And I really feel like our generation is trying to work this out because, Liz, if you look at perfection, where do you see it too in your life? Like, it's everywhere, right? For me, it
Yeah.
is like body and the way that my house needs to look, and like even like the way that my kid needs to show up to a party, like with their hair completely combed and them looking nice. I can't get my daughter into a pair of jeans, and I can't, like, I have persuaded her. What is that word where you like pay them or you get them a goodie? Like, that is the only bribe. Yes, thank you, Nicole. If I'm going to get her into a dress, like, I have to bribe her. It's in every facet of our lives. And so I'm not sure that the perfection piece is something that is going to be worked out. And I'm just saying this, Liz, because I want to be real with everybody. And I have been working on this myself for so long. It's the one connector that like wants to keep coming back to that story of like, I am perfect. I need to be perfect. Everything has to be perfect, that I have to keep trying to break. And I'm so glad that you said what you said about the angels coming in. And I forget how you phrase it, but what they say to me is all you have to do is just be. Like, And so I found this at Home Goods and I wasn't even shopping for anything, but I was like, I have to get this just to put it like by my desk. Just be you, it says. And I was gonna get a black dry erase marker and cross out the you, but like just be. That's it. That's all we have to do is just be. And every time that that perfection story comes in, you have to be perfect. Your family has to be perfect. Everything around you has to be perfect. You can't come on a Zoom call with all these people. You can't go on Instagram like this. Just be, right? And that just be gets to like break that story. And that's really what I want you guys to take away today is I want you to keep seeing that this is your story. This is your old story. And every time you break it, you're right. Spirit is going to come in with like one liners or like bumper stickers that they're saying to you, those little lines. Just be. And what they're doing with that is they're breaking the story again and again and again for you so that you're able to consistently break it. I don't want you to feel perfect, like you have to like like if you were perfect that you would just break the old cycle, the old story one time and you wouldn't have to break it again. Like that's not real life. Real life is messy and like chaotic and all this different stuff. So you might have to break it again and again and again, and that's okay. Liz, I think that that would be another good thread too to throw over to the angel member community and see if people like want to connect on that one as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that one's great because it's also one that, you can be doing really well and then something triggers it and it feels like, oh my gosh. Or just I was doing really well at everything. And then I had a couple of week spans that were really, really busy and they threw me for a loop. And it took me a little bit to be able to like shuck them and find my way again. So you're right. Life is messy. It's also kind of I think it was the first one I had to let go because it's intricately tied with a couple of other ones that I'm having a harder time with. And I'll try to save it for questions if there's time, but you know, where I put my time, including things that I don't want to do. Like maybe I am worried about my house looking good if other people are coming over. So do I do that or do I do the thing that I want to do, which is spend my time on this or something else if I have to make a choice? And oftentimes I choose the things that feel like they have to happen, not so much because of anything else, but that perfectionist in me telling me, well, you can't let other people in your house if it doesn't look perfect. So it it's tied with those other ones, but and so I'm thinking I needed to do this more strongly first before I can undo the others. But thanks, Julie.
Okay, so I want to say this here too, and I'm just prefacing with this because of what I want to say next. I was meditating this week actually, and my angels came in, and I've been really having a hard time, Liz, because I have always tried to be 100% like open and just like overly open about my life, like on the podcast. And with the success that I've had, when I share about that success on the podcast or even here sometimes, I have gotten emails where people have said, "Oh, Julie, you're different now," or like this or that. And I'm like, but I'm not. And here's why. And so I see what Liz is saying too, and I feel it in my own life because I have really struggled with even like, do I post about this move because I don't want those emails about like, oh, you've changed type of thing. But Liz, what I have come to realize, and this is what came to me in meditation from my angels the other day, is that I was able to change my story and break my chains and break my old habits and ways of thinking. And I was able to break all of those limited beliefs because other small entrepreneurs, business owners, some friends of mine, some that I just followed on Instagram would come on and be like, listen, this is the real deal. Like, this is what you can be doing, and this is the number that you could be hitting, and this is what you could be making. And I was like, "For real? Holy shit. No way." So, coming out of working for somebody else, working and getting, like, that monthly paycheck and having to work for myself, I did have that side job at the time, that was true, but it was actually other people coming out and saying, "This is really what you can do, and this is what I'm bringing in," that was like, "Well, if they can do it, I can do it. And let me tell you, if I can do it, then you can do it too, right?" And the reason that I'm kind of saying this piece is because what I wanted to say to Liz is the way that I built my business too was just by just showing up, right? There was so much to get done, there was so much to do that I didn't have a choice. I made sure that the downstairs was clean when I was seeing people out of my house so that when I led them in, they didn't see any of the mess. But then the upstairs might be chaotic, right? And I saw most of my clients for the first, like, 2.5 years consistently without any makeup or my hair done every single day, just my hair up. And so what I wanted to say to you, Liz, is people don't care too. Like, people don't care as much as we think. And I want to encourage everybody here who does struggle with that perfectionist to actually try and break that story by just taking one simple step and just putting yourself out there one day by not having makeup on, or putting yourself out there and letting your kid go out without their hair done, or letting people into your house without it being and you know what? I think that what you'll find is that people, like, have a sigh of relief too of like, "Oh, this is, like, wonderful," like that they don't have to be perfect for you too. And and so that's what was kinda coming through to you, Liz. Thank you, Liz, I love you. Okay, I wrote this down at home, and I'm so sorry because it's in a box. Is it Prabha? And I Okay, did I
Yes,
get it right?
yes, absolutely.
Awesome. How are you? I did see your email come through, but I didn't get to respond yet.
It's okay. I've been a bit sick and we are in lockdown again in Melbourne, but hopefully we are opening up soon. But again, so many things resonated with following on from Liz. The thing about money, it's really funny. For a long time, when I come across your podcast, I was like, oh, do I join the membership or not? Do I? Because when I convert it to Australian dollars, it's a lot more. It's 150. And I'm like, if I tell my husband, he's going to kill me. It's so much money. And then this thought came to my head, hang on. Yes, it's a lot, but I'm able to afford it. And that just suddenly changed. And I one day was sitting and I just prayed to the universe, whatever that, help me. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been like, do I do it? Do I not do it? And within 10 minutes, I didn't even realize that I'd logged on and joined up. And I'm like, oh, like, where's that fear? So it's funny, like, how we can always keep saying that we don't have enough money. And I'm not saying just like spend and not look at it, but it's more like when you start to say, oh, I actually can afford it, um, and see what we can cut and where we can spend. And I'm not good with budgeting. So I send all my tax money to my husband. I say, hey, I have no self control. I'll spend it. Come tax time, I won't have anything left. But I found it very, very benefiting to think that I can afford it instead of saying, oh shit, it's so expensive. If that makes sense. Like, it just helped me understand. Yeah. And with perfection, again, I think, as I said in my email, that I've been like in a big rut. I think I've been sick as well and just barely been able to hold a high vibration. And I think I'm also from the last session, I'm that someone who needs big, constant validations, I think. And with mom being gone now, that is hard. So off late, I've been like, oh my God, have you abandoned me? Like, why do I not feel anything, see anything? But the funny thing is that even though I've been feeling this way, I've been able to help my clients,
And it's very weird. Now, I have been having clients who are either who have experienced grief and loss or who are going through grief and loss where their parent might be it has a terminal illness or loss of a child through miscarriage. And even though I've been myself in a rut, I don't know how I'm helping it and how they are finding it helpful. That's almost like confusing me because I feel like I'm not able to help myself. So how is this happening? But yeah, I think like with rewriting story as well, sometimes for me, I feel rut happens, but then progress happens to others. Like even though I feel in a rut myself, I can help others. And so those are few things that I felt quite resonated with me through Liz's story as well, with the money, with the fact that you need to you need to like, for me it's like, okay, if I've been seeing angel numbers, does that if I don't see it for 2 days, does that mean I'm abandoned? Like what's going on? I've been shut out or something like that. So I think even rewriting that might be helpful for me. I'm just realizing and learning, even like knowing how much, like I think that would be really helpful. I don't know for others as well or not, Julie, but knowing how often should you be experiencing things like that? Like, is it something you experience daily? Is it, and I know you said, spoken about it in your very first few podcasts, and it was really great. But sometimes I don't know if what am I supposed to, how frequently am I
Yeah.
supposed to experience this connection?
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
so that gets a bit confusing for me. So that's it from me. And Julie, I might in the next 20 minutes pop out, and that's just because I'm going to have my sessions.
That's okay. That's okay.
And hi, good to see you, Tiffany. And thanks, Liz.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie.
Of course, you too. So I'm just gonna answer this one, and if you need to pop out, no worries. It'll be recorded too, so you can watch afterwards. So there's a lot that you talked about, and I'm gonna get to all of these. One of the things that you said was like, "How can I help others when like I can't even help myself?" And this is something that I think, and this is what I was trying to say before, but maybe I didn't say it as eloquently when I talked about the healer who sent out the email the other day, like, I've been living in ease 24/7 for the last 25 years. No, you haven't. You have had moments of stress that have come in and you've learned tools to work with them. So you're kind of living, instead of 100% stress and anxiety that some people are living in. You've gotten it down here and you've lived with it down here, but you still have some down here. I was at one of the neighbors' houses. We were meeting, and she was talking about how she just had back surgery. And she goes, Julie, it's the nurse's curse. And I said, the nurse's curse? I've never heard of this. What is this? And she said, nurses say that there's a nurse's curse because, like, if you know how to heal from something, things happen to nurses so that they don't happen to like other people or something to that effect. And I was like, I say the same thing about healers. Like, there's so many things that happen to healers so that we know how to reach back, help others, and pull them forward. So, because you're a healer or a therapist or a nurse or a doctor or any helping service profession out there, does not mean that your life is 100% perfect and that, like, you're going to live in perfection for forever. It means that we actually go through more, right? We go through different things. Spirit is working us through different situations because they know. And it's so fascinating. I don't know if you see this, Prabha, your like clients coming in, but Spirit will piggyback sometimes where all of my sessions in one day will be like the same situation, like over and over again, where you're sometimes they'll piggyback a lesson. Like I just went through a lesson, and then the whole next month, I'm teaching all these people who are coming in to understand the same lesson.
That's funny you say that, Julie, because just before my mom passed away, before that, I was seeing a client who had lost their mom suddenly and who had like not been with the mom. And I was like, okay. And I'd never worked with grief and loss before because, as I say, I'm still a baby psychologist and, these things seem a bit scary other than the straight up your anxiety, depression, that's more like manageable and all that. And now after mom passed away, and I'm like, hang on, why did I see that client? It just was not a normal situation for me. And now I'm getting clients. I was telling my husband, I said, I think I'm not going crazy, but I'm actually getting clients who are going through grief and loss. And then doing your membership has helped me even talk about things like connecting to their own beliefs and spirituality to seek comfort because I'm finding there's a lot of pressure to move on, especially with miscarriages and to, you know, you have another baby and don't worry about it. You're still young. So this membership, I feel like is helping me in that way as well, especially with clients who have grief and loss
Yeah. That's
in their lives.
awesome. That's
So thank you
awesome.
for that.
Yay. And what you'll find too, especially if you're listening and you're like, I know I'm going to go into this work one day, what you will find is that even the people who need to reschedule, like somebody will call and they'll be like, I'm so sorry. Like, I have to get my kid in for this doctor's appointment. There's no other day. Can I reschedule? Absolutely. And then, like, the reschedule date might be a month later, but it's weird because stuff happens in between that time, and they're like, "Julie, I know I was supposed to come in on this rescheduled date because all of this other stuff went down." So it really comes down to a lot of trust in there. How often are you supposed to experience the connection? I think there's actually 2 different parts that we need to talk about here, okay? Because and the 2 different parts are oneness and connecting with our people on the other side, okay? Because really, if you break down those words that my angels say that I was telling Liz, just be, when I get riled up, they're like, just be, just show up, just you know what? I didn't have any time today. I rolled out like, I have not taken a shower in 3 days. I have been working on, like, unpacking this house and trying to, like, put things together, and I woke up this morning and I go, "I could take a shower or I could go finally finish the podcast studio," and I was like, "Finish the podcast studio," and I'm just gonna show up like this without a shower again, um, 'cause I needed it. What is just be? Just be is oneness, right? Just be is like, just be in oneness. I got to live in oneness today. I got to unpack. I get to be here, and you guys don't care that I'm not showing up, with my hair done. When we're in oneness, we're living in the elements of ease, of flow, of grace, of trusting divine time. And are we living it at 100% all the time? No, but when you're living in it more and more, you feel it. I mean, there's just a different vibration to your life. That's different, right? Than connection. Like when my dad's here, it feels yummy. It feels yummy to get to like tune into his energy. How often are we experiencing that connection? It's kind of like Spirit is saying, how often do you talk to your best friend, like your best girlfriend that you have, right? Like, are you talking with her every day? Probably not, but like, does she come into your mind sometimes? You're like, damn, I haven't called Sarah in a long time. I need to give her a call. Yeah. And then there's times where you're like, oh my God, I need to spend time with her, right? Like you have those feelings or those things pop into your head. How do we know that that's not like telepathic wiring and connection, right? And so it's kind of more like that. And there are times where we're not even looking to connect with them, they're looking to connect with us. Like when your friend calls you out of the blue, right? I was just kind of we have a sunroom, which is awesome. I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about this, but my dad always said he always kinda said, like, he would make things up to me by building me the sunroom, like, he always just wanted that was his gift, right? Like, that he wanted to give me one day was to build a sunroom, he liked to build homes. So I was sitting outside and I was just thinking about, the house and what I wanted to do with the house. And all of a sudden, this cardinal comes over. And it wasn't two, because when I say two, it's dad and grandma. It was just one. And the cardinal came over and it just sat. And I said, Cardinal, will you stay long enough for me to get a photo? Because I just want to get a photo of this. And I got the photo and then it flew off. And then I said, Dad, will you come back tomorrow? And I saw the cardinal again tomorrow because I just wanted that validation. I wanted to see, him here at this new house because I'd always see the cardinal at the old house. And he came back the next day. I saw the cardinal. So it's a relationship with the other side. And what we're going to get to is talking about that a lot in December when we're deepening that connection with our loved ones, but that relationship goes both ways. So in that moment in the sunroom initially, I wasn't asking, for that. It was like my dad showing up to show his presence. And it is a give and take. But then there are times where like, oh my God, my heart hurts so bad. Like I just need to connect with him. Do you ever have those moments too where you like just need to cry? And so you like need to take some time to yourself and like put on the movie that makes you cry. My movie with my dad is Interstellar, so I'll go watch that one, or there's a couple others, but there's different ways to connect in meditation and automatic writing. Yeah, and spend that
I
time.
think that's what I've been trying to do, the meditation. And I think that grief is more getting real now because it's close to 3 months. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you really are born. I'm not going to get those phone calls. So I think my mind tends to go, what you said is beautiful, that it's a relationship with the other side. And sometimes when you're not physically seeing and experiencing that person how you used to, it can feel like a sense of abandonment, that am I really walking in the dark here? Because that's what I've been feeling, that like it's just darkness. Like, am I seeing? Am I doing? So I think that that's really insightful. And I've written it down. I think it's a relationship with the other side. So I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank
and
you, Julie.
yeah, and I think that the other thing that we need to just honor and validate within ourselves is that the work that we're doing here is like to make that connection as best as it can be, right? And at the end of the day, the part that we have to be real about is that as good as that connection can be with the other side, it's still not the same as having them right here in front of us and being able to like pick up the phone and hear them, or like go visit with them and hug them or cry with them, or celebrate with them. And at the end of the day, the real part is that sometimes we have to say, "This sucks." Like, "This sucks and this hurts." And that's where I talk about those, like, hurricane-size waves of grief. At the beginning, those waves are just so intense. They're, like, back to back to back. And what happens is over time, it does spread out, but I still get hit by a hurricane-sized wave every once in a while, and the part that also sucks too is that you don't get any heads up that it's coming. Like, it just comes one day, and it's that's those days, that's what I'm talking about, like, where you have to have things that you can hold on to. Like, maybe you have a playlist with your mom's favorite songs on there that just, like, puts you in, like, the essence of her presence, Or maybe, like, her favorite movies, or your favorite movie that makes you think of her. Does anybody ever watch the movie Beaches when you were young? Oh my god. The part where they talk about the hands and she has to go find the picture of her mom's hand. I think sometimes, like, I've taken pictures of my mom's hand already because I'm like, we have the exact same hand. And I know one day I'm going to want that picture to just remember her. And so there's things that like put you in the essence of your relationship and what it was with them while they were here. And if you can find things that you can do on those days when those hurricane-sized waves hit, I do feel that it kind of brings them closer to you in a way. Like that you just feel their presence so much more palpably.
Thank you, Julie. I think you're right. Like even yesterday, I was feeling this way, and this memory from 11 years ago popped up with me. Mom and I had gone to get a photo shoot where I'm hugging mom and kissing her. And this was like really nice photo. And even when mom had passed, I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna hug mom. I'm never gonna hold mom. And a friend was visiting, and I randomly opened my wedding photos, which I was like, I'd never not opened it for like more than a year. They were just sitting there. And I see this picture, like it was an Indian ceremony where you see your daughter off and mom is just holding me and I'm holding her bag and she's kissing and hugging. And then my birthday came along and I was like, oh, I'm not going to see my mom is never going to wish me. Then I find a voice message from last year saying, hey, happy birthday. I miss you so much. And keeps going to your voice message. And I'm like, okay. And then I was like, yeah, she'll never talk to me. And then get a message from last year that never heard till now saying, how are you? I had a dream about you last night, missing you so much. Can't wait to see you. So it's these kind of things. And 3 days after her passing, I was at a local indie shop and the song played of this Indian prayer that mom always told me to do. It was almost like it took to my head and said, listen to this. So I was thinking, are you even here? So it's like, and had this thought, well, listen to this if I'm not. And it was so I listened to it every single day and they're those little things, but then again, the egoic mind comes in and it's like, are you making shit up?
That's it. That's it. That's where what we call angel stories. Like that is it. That is her coming through and like validating over and over like I'm not gone. And what she's trying to tell you with those constant like consistency. Who said it in the chat? I think it was Joan. Consistency is the word of the day. Her being consistent from the other side is her way of like, I'm here. I'm never going to leave you. I'm always going to be with you.
Yeah. And I think she brought me to your session. And just quickly, what session in 5 minutes, but end of last year and beginning of this year, I have a friend in California who did a tarot reading for me. And both times this card kept coming that showed me working with a master, like a female master. And I'm learning things with her. And so I kept thinking of it as my work bosses, and I'm like, oh, okay. And a big feeling, why am I not really, I'm not learning that much from them. And then this membership came and I'm like, hang on, just hang on. Was this what it meant to be? Because in my head, I thought it to be someone right here who I'd physically meet and see. But now I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is different. Maybe it was meant to be you and other people on this membership that were going to be my teachers as opposed to directly my physical workplace people.
Yes. That is amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that.
No worries. Bye, everyone. I'm heading off to a session myself now.
Have a great session. All my love, and we're all sending our love to you, okay? If you want to go deeper with me, I've got 2 ways. First, join my Who Am I Supposed to Be Now masterclass Friday, February 27th on Zoom or in person in Wheaton. Link is in the show notes. And if you feel called to be certified as an angel messenger, energy healer, and medium, my next in-person Angel Reiki school is April 10th, 11th, 12th. VIP before March 1st includes a full year of mentorship. Join at theangelmedium.com. That's angelmedium.com. Copyrighted to Chicago Energy Healing, LLC, for inspirational purposes only.